What's up, everybody? It's your favorite nerd who used to bullseye womp rats in this T16 back home's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the SH Figuarts Farmboy Luke versus the Black Series Farmboy Luke. Now, as we've always said in the past, it's not really a fair fight. You're spending, 60 to 70 for one, including shipping, and then you're buying the other one for 20 bucks. So it's not totally a fair fight, but because they're in the same scale, it's worth taking a look at them and comparing them for those who have not bought a version of this Luke and are looking to make a informed decision for which one they want for their shelves. So there they are next to each other, and there's obvious things that come through immediately, right? But we're going to take a look at each, and then we'll kind of get back to it. The Black Series Luke comes with this lightsaber. The blade comes out, but it's a tight fit. I feel like they used to do a better job of this. Ever since Ahsoka and Kanan, I've noticed that it's not as it's not as easygoing as it used to be, but it does work. The blade itself has a silver finish with the hilt itself has a silver finish with the red paint there and the black paint, which is all done fairly clean for a Hasbro product. This is a translucent blue, of course. For the figure, it comes with this belt. Now, this, like the binoculars, you can remove, but when it comes to him holding the binoculars, you kind of gotta, in my opinion, just kind of clip it on to his hand, because you really start to stress the plastic by getting it around the square part. Now you can have him holding it around the eye part, but then you can't get the eye part straight up to the eye, so it kind of becomes null and void anyway. But the accessory itself is painted well, black plastic with silver accents, and that looks pretty good. Let's get this there. And then the other part is we'll just talk about the belt. The belt all has a black wash on it. Looks pretty good most of the time. There's some places where they didn't get all of it. Like here, they just got a line of it. But this pouch, they did the whole thing. That pouch obviously looks much better. This pouch looks a little weird. But the rest of it looks pretty good. And then we have the silver buckle and all the little gold accents. And then the little... I'm not sure what this is. Maybe that's his like little communicator thing. Not sure, but that some of the silver paint got onto the loop itself, but it's not really clear where one starts and one ends, so I'm not going to blame the paint guy for that one. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Now what the Black Series usually does is they take sculpted molds and they add one piece or two pieces of soft fabric, which really gives it a nice accent. What this is an awful lot of soft goods. And as a result, it makes it look a little bit cheaper, in my opinion. And then underneath is just his naked bod. So it's just a little strange. But that's the choice that they went with. So we're going to go. This was a gift to me, so that individual knows who he is, and he knows I appreciate everything that he's done. But what I want to say is that I wasn't planning on picking this guy up, but I kind of wanted him, and I really wanted him because I knew I was going to get the SH Figuarts one, and I wanted to compare him for you guys. So thanks to this fella, we get to do this. So the head is on a ball hinge. We get up to there, down to there. Swivel's intact. Now the sculpt is actually not that bad. It is Mark Hamill-esque, but the paint is horrendous. And because there's no details given, his face is a little skinny, but aside from that, because there's no details given, it just falls really flat. The hair is all sculpted and has a nice wash over it as well. It's just one of those things, like I bet you a customizer could make this look really good. Like we've seen some of those face sculpts that have gone viral, like the Ray and whatnot. I think this is another one just kind of waiting to happen. So we have like a diaphragm ball joint, which works really well and gets you this swivel. We have disc hinge shoulders, get you up to there. Really nice range. And then all the way around. And then we have a double jointed elbow, getting you the full range. Swivel, hinge in and out, holding hand. Now we have two holding hands, but because of we only have one lightsaber, but because of the, I'm not sure what I got going on here. I can't get his arm back down. It's like I can't put my arms down, and because I forgot what I was saying. Oh, because he does have these binoculars, I understand giving him two holding hands because you can kind of fake it, and you can have him hold both lightsaber hands, so I'm not mad at that. Same for the other side. I really got to figure this out, though. This is driving me nuts. Where is that joint? There it is. All right, there we go. Sorted. And then we have T-jointed ball joints for hips. They are this. They are they're the skin. Do you see that? They're the skin tone. Like the why didn't they go this color? Such a bizarre. It's like he got 2 holes in his pants. Such a strange choice. We have all this. The pants are sculpted, so no belt, just sitting on there. They're sculpted with the fabric detail. And then they all have the wrinkles and stuff, which does look good. The T-jointed ball joints get you out to there, front and back. You can do that kind of Chuck Norris split. We got a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and then the boots, the wrapping around the legs is all sculpted. And then it looks like to me, it's dry brushed, which looks like a nice weathered look. It ends up looking really good. But it doesn't totally match the shoe because the shoe is mostly just the highlight color. So it does start to look a little strange there, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Ankle tilt, not really anything up. We got a fair amount down, and then the rocker is intact, and we got paint around the bottom of the shoe. And that's this guy, and well, we'll wait for final thoughts. And then we have the Figuarts Luke. Now for accessory, let's talk about that. We have the hilt. This detaches. I'm telling you, this is translucent blade. The right way to do this is a white piece of plastic with a translucent layer around it. Like the translucent blue with a white rod through the center. That's the way to do it, so to speak. Silver finish on the hilt, black details throughout, including a little ring around where the blade comes out, which looks really nice. He can hold this, as you can see, or it can clip onto his belt. And I should say, to be fair and honest and true and all those things, that you can take off the Black Series one and you can clip it right there, and undo the blade. So you can achieve the same thing, just a different way of doing it. So that's that accessory. We're going to set all that to the side. Actually, only some of it. We're going to talk about the hands. So he has 2 holding hands, one for each side. And then he has 2 fist hands, one for each side. And then he has 2 kind of posing hands, one for each side. Now, there's a lot going on with what you can do with the head. But before we get there, I want to take a look at one thing you can do with the lightsaber, which is you can put it in his hand, and then you can attach the blade. And then you can take this accessory here, which is like a translucent, deflection, which looks really good. It's really well done, and it's almost like the blue translucent is deeper in the center, but it might just be because it's more dense. And then you get an orange translucent separate piece that comes out here to the remote droid, which has this base plastic, and then it has like nice digital paint, red and silver accents throughout, and plenty of sculpted detail to boot. And that clips on to his blade, as I am trying to show you. You just kind of slide it down until you get the friction, and that does that, so to speak. Now, we're going to do this. So this is nice too, so you can see how the head works. But you have a peg here that's in the base of in the top part of the head, and then you have the hinge here, and then the peg comes down into the neck. You haven't seen my Leonidas review yet, my Figma Leonidas review, but this is what they should have done with both pieces of that. Just try to remember that when we get there. And then you have the face piece, which comes off. This face is tremendous. The likeness, the sculpted details, the paints. It's a digital paint. It looks really good. And then you have this happy face. Here's a happy face. This creeps me out. I don't care for this at all. There's a picture. There's like a famous picture of Luke Skywalker or Mark Hamill when he's like doing wardrobe tryouts or like wardrobe tests for Luke Skywalker, where he has this big goofy smile, and that's what I think they were going after. It's a very niche thing. I think this is not the best choice for an alternate face, but that's what they decided to go with, so it doesn't matter. Now we have the blast shield. The blast shield doesn't articulate, which I do think is a bummer. I think it would have been nice if that was on a hinge. But Plenty of painted detail to boot. We got all the symbols, the rebellion symbols and so forth, or the pilot symbols rather, all over there. And then we have the hair still comes through in the back, the red lines, wash on the shield to make it look in that lived-in universe. So that all looks really good. Now, in order to do the blast shield effect, you can do either face you want. You just have to take the hair off. This is a softer plastic. You just undo it there and take it around. But that's the constant on and off of this hair is going to create a gap. As you can see, it's already started from me messing with mine between the hair and face. So I would advise that unless you're going to do it, I wouldn't use it. Like, unless you're going to display it that way, I wouldn't use this. So we're going to use Smiley Face Luke. And you take the blast shield, or the helmet, take it apart, clip the face end to the back, and then put it back together, and you got your head in there. Then you can take this head, make sure the neck is straight, insert it down, and you're in service. I'm going to get a quick picture of this guy, and then we'll take a look at the figure. But it looks pretty cool, you know, and it is a smart accessory. I just wish that they had rethought this hair thing, because like that gap is going to irritate me, and I might need to put it in hot water to get it to kind of warp right back into position. Alright, now let's take a look at the figure. So you saw it's got a hinge up inside the head with a peg going down, which allows you to get a swivel there and a little bit of up and down, and then the neck itself is on at least a single ball peg, if not a double, getting you the head down to there, up to there, and then another additional swivel. So, pretty well done. For the tunic, it's like a white-ish plastic, and then it has a wash on it, giving it a bit of a textured and detailed, like weathered look, which is cool. Typical SH Figuarts, pardon me, butterfly joint, but a better one than I've seen on some of the others. It's pretty well done. And then on top of that, you have a ball peg going into the shoulder, coming out to a disc hinge, to another peg going out to the arm itself. So the range of motion is really superb, and the swivel is intact as well. No bicep swivel, which is weird, and you don't even really get it down here. You get a little one, you know, which is strange. It's a bit strange for me. Now you get it. You can swivel it at the shoulder and kind of get it done, but I don't know. That's a little weird. Now the hand is actually really cool. So you have the swivel at the peg, and then it's on a hinge as well, and you can swivel it and get the hinge up and out or up down. And then there's an additional skin piece. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Let's see. You see that little bit of skin? It goes in through the sleeve into the arm to make it look like the sleeve is a separate piece around the arm, and then that is on a hinge as well. So you can get up and down movement there as well, and that's pretty cool. You can get a real lifelike kind of look by utilizing that. I gotta edit this in too. You're getting ready to see another piece edited in. But sometimes when I'm getting caught up in these paint details, I lose track of myself. So the waist has a double, it feels like a double ball peg to me. So you get the swivel there, and no gappage anywhere that I can find throughout. So that's pretty good. And you get a good forward, decent back, swivel's intact. So we're going to cut in again here soon, so get used to that. So for the belt, it's sculpted. This is a floating piece, but all that stuff is sculpted on. It's a brown piece there, and then silver paint, black paint, silver paint, black paint, silver paint, silver paint, and everything looks like it has a slightest wash to me. Coming down at T-jointed ball joints for hips that are on sliders, I think? No, they're not. So just T-jointed ball joints for hips, and then it has a thigh swivel on there as well. This piece being a soft plastic, it does help, but it still hinders articulation a little bit on those ball joints in terms of getting them to the front. Out to the side is no problem. All the pants are sculpted and then have like a sand colored wash on them, just around some of the wrinkles, so that looks good. And then we have a single jointed knee hinge, which gets you a good range there. Coming down to this was just all sculpted and washed instead of dry brushed like the Black Series one did. Both work well. This one works a little better because the color is more uniform throughout. Ankles feels like a ball hinge. So up to there, down to there, and then a bit of a rocker. Not the best rocker, but definitely not the worst either. It'll definitely do the job. And then a tow hinge, which is nice, and then the bottom part is painted. And that is this guy in a nutshell. Now let's do some size comparisons. So there the two are together, and interestingly enough, they're about the same size. SH Figuarts has kind of gotten some flack for being like smaller than the Black Series, and I think sometimes that has been true, but in this particular case it's not. And then there's Black Series Han Solo, and I think that's the right size. I think that looks good. So I think both are good choices in that regard. Final thoughts wise, I'm definitely glad I had the opportunity to look at these guys because I was able to appreciate different things about them, and I wasn't going to look at them. And it's not that I didn't want to look at them. It's just that, you know, it takes a little bit of time to do these reviews, and I was actually on my way to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. But, you know, to be fair, I mean, the price points is definitely something to consider. The Luke from Black Series is more articulated in terms of points of articulation, but is not able to pull off kind of more natural-looking poses, and it's because that little tunic he's wearing, which I think Pinkerton from Realm of Collectors called it the Pajama Jammy Jam Luke, something like that. And you know, it looks out of place. And what I've really come to love about the Black Series figures are the amount of sculpt work that goes into them, and that just seems like a really lazy choice and a really poor choice because it just ends up looking kind of childish. But the sculpt work that is there is done well, and the paint work that's there is done well. With the exception of the face, I could always use a little bit more detail. On the SH Figuarts one, I'm not crazy about how the hair comes across. It comes apart rather, because it's really hard to get it to go back 100% because it's that softer plastic and it kind of gets used to being warped and manipulated. So unless you guys were going to do the flight helmet feature, I would leave it alone because I'm not sure if it ever fits 100% quite right without getting some hot water out and kind of putting it back in place. But the articulation is there, the materials are there, the paint is there. The articulation is actually a little bit more hindered than what I'm used to with Figuarts, but I think with Figuarts, but it still allows you to get, you know, the poses and job across, and as a result, I definitely recommend the Figuarts one over the Hasbro one. And I usually say on these types of reviews that either one you win with either one because they're both fairly good, especially for their price points. But this one, I kind of feel like the Hasbro one really lets you down. This is probably my least favorite Black Series Hasbro figure, but there's still tons of unique and individualized sculpt work going into this, so I still commend that effort. I think that robe is just a bit of a wash and kind of destroys the figure. I think that if it had the sculpted detail on there, you could forgive the face a lot more. But as a result, once you get to the belt, working your way up the figure with your eyes, you're just like, oh God, it just starts falling apart on you. So that's how I feel about it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.